Start with GoFundMe shutting down the trucker convoy. This is absolute bullshit for a number of reasons, but as you can see, even Wikipedia, Wikipedia has since locked this page down. But you did see somebody go into Wikipedia and show right here, GoFundMe is an American for-profit crowdfunding platform that allows liberals to raise money for liberal causes and shut down free speech and steal money from people who actually have souls. So yeah, that's effectively what they did. They tried to steal the money that was donated to the Freedom Convoy page, and then they issued this statement that they were going to work with the organizers to try to give that money to a charity that GoFundMe approved of. They were just going to do that instead. Now, that is theft. That is just blatant fraud. I'm not a lawyer, but that is just obviously fraud. To basically take people's money and then say, oh yeah, I'm going to give it to these people that you want me to give it to. And then it goes someplace else. So that's awful now in a lot of ways. But what they came out and said that it had changed from a protest to being an occupation. The problem is that GoFundMe, when they had that whole Chaz Chop thing in Seattle, that was an occupation. It was an actual, what they called an autonomous zone. They took over, I think it was 9 city blocks surrounding Capitol Hill in Seattle. So yeah, that's an occupation, but they were allowing crowdsourcing on GoFundMe for people to still manage that whole thing and keep them funded. So that's absolute bullshit. And so they have a habit of doing these things along the way. You can see here, though, that the good news is that there are other crowdsourcing sites. In fact, the site Give Send Go, it's a site that has actually stepped up, and they've said, hey, we're going to do this for the Freedom Convoy. Go ahead and donate your money here. So it's been a good thing that they've been able to step up and do that. So if you are somebody who is so inclined, donate. But go to Give Send Go instead. Give to the truckers that way. This is the most peaceful protest that's happened in years. You had GoFundMe was perfectly fine distributing the funds to people who were getting arrested during the George Floyd riots, all during the summer of 2020. They had no problem with that. They had no problem giving funds to people who were, committing arson, committing murders, committing assaults. They had no problem with that. So the bottom line, though, is that, GoFundMe, I'm never going to donate to anybody who uses GoFundMe. I'm sorry, but even if your kid is dying of cancer and you use GoFundMe to crowdsource, I'm sorry, I'm not giving money to you. It's that bad what they tried to do here. So use a different site. Give Send Go, it seems like a legit place. I've looked into it a little bit, looks good. It's a little bit small because when they announced that they were setting up that's where the Freedom Convoy people were going, the site crashed. So it is good here. Rumble, which is where I post my videos first all the time. Rumble said, hey, if they reached out to Give Send Go and said, hey, we're here to help you out with the server issue if you guys need it. So another reason that you should be going and subscribing to my Rumble page and just going over and establishing accounts over on Rumble instead of YouTube, instead of these big tech conglomerates that are, they're really down to just cancel you and shut you down and silence you and censor you. So now I have said this, GoFundMe is bullshit. I will say this, after they got the backlash, they did say, hey, we're just going to automatically refund all the money from the donors. Here's the thing is, don't do that. Obviously get your refund, get your money back any way you can, but you should actually go to the bank and do a chargeback. My understanding, again, I don't know how this works. I've never done a chargeback before, but my understanding is that if you go to your bank and say, yeah, I want that money charged back to my account because of, I said it was supposed to go to this place and it didn't, it was for services non-rendered, things like that. They have to give you your money back, and then the bank actually will charge GoFundMe like an extra 10 or 15 bucks, whatever, their policy is. So that's how I've been told it works. I don't know if that's legit, but I would recommend calling your bank and saying, hey, I want this stopped. Can you get a chargeback for me? And see what that looks like. Just find out what their policies is. If it ends up costing you money, obviously just get your refund back from GoFundMe. There's no reason that you should be giving money to them anyway. The bottom line of this whole thing is that GoFundMe is evil. Straight evil. I want you to think about this, okay? This is a completely peaceful protest that they're trying to shut down. They're trying to do anything they can to ruin. Well, if that was it, I might not be so pissed off at them. But the reality is that they don't do this just randomly. They don't do this for, we're going to shut this one down. No, they've actually removed fundraisers for dying people because they don't like their family's politics or their family's personal beliefs. You can see here, GoFundMe removed a fundraiser for a dying Texas sheriff deputy after his wife posted about ivermectin. So I'm not going to talk about ivermectin because, again, I'm not a doctor and I haven't looked into it a lot, but apparently if you talk about ivermectin, GoFundMe is fine with making sure people can't donate to you, to your medical bills. I guess they want your family to suffer if they're not following the right, if they commit wrongthink. So GoFundMe is pure evil. Do not do business with them. Do not crowdsource through them. And if you send me a link and says, hey, I'm using a GoFundMe, I'm not going to donate to your cause. Use a different site. Basically anything else. At this current time, considering they're in the news, I do recommend Give Send Go. They seem to be doing, picking up the slack for GoFundMe's evil. So I would say pick somewhere else, and it's time that GoFundMe just dies.